Hey everyone, here we are. We finally finished our Hammerboy character. If you've been following along, I'll quickly recap the final edits that I made on the character model. First off, I want to talk about why I made these edits. Some updates had technical justifications like adding more topology to refine the character's form, or adding edge loops for animation, while other updates were made from a design and creative standpoint. So, here's where I last left off. If we go ahead and look at the character before I started making the edits, you'll see noticeable but subtle differences between the two. Most noticeably in the eyes, right? So if we go here, zoom in, you can see that originally the character eyes were much further apart and they were actually quite a bit smaller than they needed to be. In the latest update, you can see I went ahead and increased the size of the eyes and made it look a lot more natural and kind of gave it that Disney Pixar very stylized look. His clothing as well, you can see that they were quite a bit rigid looking, so I just spent a little bit time making them look more natural and organic, and this just overall improves the character. Now, how did I decide to go with these updates? Well, here's how I did it. First, always take a step back. Look at your model from different perspectives, and always don't forget to revisit your reference, right? Don't forget why we're doing this or the end goal. A lot of times you may get stuck in really just in the weeds, pushing and pulling verts, or even like when you're sculpting, but it helps just to walk away and come back and look at it with a fresh perspective. Now, an easy way to do this is to use what's called the Maya surface shader. This is nothing special, so if I go ahead and actually apply it to my entire character sets and assign new material, you will see that there is an option under Maya and Surface, and if I just go to favorites, there you go. So Maya Surface Shader, and look at that. What this will allow me to do is view it while only focusing on the silhouette of the character, okay? So if I go ahead now and let's say I just hide the accessories and the hammer, and let's look at our character. Here he was previously. You can see that he's a lot, it's a little bit more straight, a little bit more defined, and not in a good way. Like he looks too plain and there's not a lot of form. Here is the update. I spent a lot of time, or not even a lot of time, I just spent a little bit of time taking the existing topology and updating it where it looks a lot more natural. It looks like the clothing has weight and it's wearing on the character instead of kind of floating here, looking a little bit hard. Look at his gloves now. His hands were very his gloves were kind of skinny, not like the concept, right? So again, if we look at the concept, you can see he's got larger gloves, larger hands, boots, all that good stuff from a stylized perspective. So I made sure to go in there and really increase the volume and size of his gloves. Same thing, his boots needed quite a bit of love actually. Even though the topology was all there, the form was definitely lacking. And this is where I ended up with. So you can see the difference between the two. Overall, the topology is roughly about the same. And I made sure to kind of give it kind of some more tapered look and interesting forms. Instead of kind of going straight up, it kind of flares out. Same thing here with the gloves, right? Instead of this kind of cylindrical, flat look, it's got this more interesting flare, okay? So you can see his clothing, and the big thing as well was his hair, right? I made sure to spend a little bit of time kind of curving them, using the bend modifier, doing all sorts of things just to really make some of these main improvements. So I'm going to actually undo the material assignment just for the sake here. And you can see, again, if I zoom in on the face and I had to kind of recreate the eyebrows here, you can actually delete history while we're at it. You can kind of see it really adds a lot more life to his face. Okay. I also cleaned up the hammer a bit. There was some gaps and whatnot. So just overall some cleanup. Okay. So those were the high level updates that I did on the model. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of show you the specifics and how I updated each section. So first we'll start with the hair. All right, here we are with the hair. So what I focused on were the hero pieces, kind of the larger pieces that stick out of the top of the head, and I went ahead and applied a bend deformer. So this allows us just to modify the entire form of the hair follicle, and it avoids, mainly manipulating vertices and whatnot. So it's very quick and straightforward. So as you can see, we can update it and modify it up to the tip. So that was the hair. So here we are looking at the eyes, and I make some updates on the eyes. I make updates on the mouth and kind of the neck area as well. So you can see, I'm doing some things like scaling it up, positioning it, and I just want to make sure to kind of give it that overall stylized look. And I'm just using the core tools that we've been using. I'm just using a combination of soft select, move, and moving and scaling on the normal, all sorts of things. So it's, there's not a lot of destructive work that happens here. I also do some things on the nose where there's a little bit of pinching, and then I go through and use the relax tool. And of course, then I'm moving and repositioning the eyes. I do revisit and recreate the eyebrows. So that kind of happens later. And here you can see that I'm now cleaning up and updating the mouth. I'm adding overall geometry and topology for the mouth. And then the eyes, I was planning to kind of add some more topology down the road. And you can see here, I'm going ahead now and adding, using the insert edge loop tool and adding topology kind of running down the face, the eye to the mouth with our existing topology. And then I'm also going through and doing the same thing here, to kind of give that corner a lot more of a natural look. So all of that helps out quite a bit. And then I make my way down to the body, and the same thing. I found some dead edges where it was just an edge added on a flat surface. And then I add in these edges that run along the torso just to help with the overall form and deformation. So there we are. And then I go ahead now and start to update the boots, kind of like we were talking about. And I'm just using core techniques that we have. You can see that the boots definitely needed a little bit of adjustments. And then I go over to the gloves, and I'm doing the same thing, right? Gloves need a lot more volume, a lot more natural look, so they're not too skinny. We're referring back to the concept, and I'm using the technique here where I'm editing the pivot, so it allows me to move things at the sub-object level. And all you have to do is hit D on the keyboard, and that'll allow you to move the pivot anywhere you want. And then you can position it. So I'm spreading the fingers out. Also, I can increase the volume a bit here just by moving things on the normal. All right. And you can see that I actually use transform component, which does the same thing as move on the normal. And all in all, it turns out to be to give me the detail that I'm looking for. I finish off the glove by just adding in some more geometry along the thumb, just a better hold form, and allow us to have some geometry to move some things around. Okay, and there I am. Here I am, just kind of wrapping up the shirts and the pants. And again, all I'm really doing is just kind of giving it that little bit of that silhouette work so it looks good as we're doing the final tweaks. And here's where I add that last bit of topology for animation. So I'm adding in the edge loops that are on the elbows and the knees and torso and whatnot. So you can see as I'm going through, I'm just spacing out some edges and adding a little bit of that separation for the elbow, bringing out the inner of the elbow, the back of the elbow, and working out the shoulder a little bit as well. And then added some edge loops here on the torso too to kind of help that deformation, which will also lead down to the pelvic area. And I went ahead and also did the knees. So same exact technique. I'm just kind of adding in the edges here for animation, and it's just going to overall help. And you can see that I'm giving them more of a separation. So now you can actually see the knee and the elbow from a distance, you can see that detail is just improving and adding to the model. So these were the final things that I did to really improve the character, and you can see that it definitely paid off. So let's say you get to the end, you don't want to just finish the model, walk away, and then start unwrapping. You want to come back, make those final tweaks, and also show it to other people. Okay, you want to make sure to go out there. I have this core group of artists and friends and coworkers, and I say, hey, can you take a look at my models? Let me know what I can do to improve them, and always get a different perspective and eye to look at it, right? And of course, post it publicly. Put it out there on public forums like ArtStation and CG Society and the Rookies and all the like. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this overall workflow on how to create a character in Maya. The next series will be focusing on, it'll probably be just a couple simple videos on how to unwrap this character completely and prepare him for texturing for Substance Painter. You know, we'll go through and do some things and how to present him, how to pose him, and how to create some nice renders for him. All right. So again, if you enjoyed that, always appreciate a like and subscribe down at the bottom. If there's anything you want me to cover or if I missed anything, go ahead and throw me a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer. And yeah, always appreciate it, guys. So, and everyone. So I will see you guys later and excited to keep moving forward.